Blacked out while doing a back handspring, landed on my head, fractured my neck. I was driving to go to the store and I had a grand mal seizure again while I was driving. So I crashed my car. That's when they were like, you can't drive anymore. No more cheer, no more stunting, no more physical activity.
For about 2 or 3 weeks, I was in that mood like, oh, this fucking sucks. I really wish, that didn't happen. Sitting over there on the bike, looking at them like run their full outs, like really put me in a space where I was not being effective.
Hi, I'm Coach Michelle, cheerleading lifestyle coach and founder of Building YOUniversity. After 20 years in the industry and 5 retirements, I've realized that athletes could really use some guidance navigating life after sport. In today's podcast, we are going to go ahead and meet with Corey and Zay and talk a little bit about injury as an athlete. So Corey, thank you so much for being here. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So I know that the reason that I reached out to you is because you had a pretty big injury. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But can you tell us a little bit more about like how you got to where you are today? Like what was your cheer journey like?
So, I would say I can go all the way back to when I was like a kid. I started gymnastics. I mean, I did like dance for a little bit. I did not like dance. My mom was in dance, so she put me in it, and I just was not my thing. But I did gymnastics when I was like 4 years old, and I did that up until I was 12. And I ended up, I had a coach in like middle school that wanted me to join the middle school team because I had tumbling from gymnastics. So she wanted me to join. I joined. I hated sideline cheer. It was like I liked cheerleading. I liked stunting a lot. That's what made me like actually stick with cheer for a little bit. But I really hated sideline cheer when I was a kid. And so I switched into all-star closer to when I was in high school, and I did that for a little bit, but I never got into like co-ed or anything like that. I'm from Michigan, so my like area doesn't have a whole lot of co-ed teams and co-ed stunting until you get to like the college level, but then once you get there, there's not a whole lot around, so they're more at like a basic level. Not everybody in Michigan, but they're like the teams that there are that you can join in Michigan are mostly at a more basic level. So I didn't really know any of that stuff when I was around that age. I just really liked stunting. I was a back spot, I was a base. I flew a little bit. I used to base our pyramid. I was a main base for my pyramid for like most of the years that I did all-star, and then I just tumbled. But I only went to like a level 4, and then I graduated high school when I was 17, and then I didn't do like college or cheer or sports or anything like that after that. I just like worked jobs until I started working at a gymnastics gym as a coach. And that's kind of what like started my journey now with co-ed cheer, because I was coaching one night. This is like 2021. I was coaching and there was Stuart. I don't know if you've met Stuart.
Oh yeah.
But Wagner, he was doing private lessons out of the gym that I worked in. And he just at the end of a night was like, do you want to stunt sometime? Like, I want to stunt with someone that kind of like knows what they're doing, because he's used to doing private lessons mostly. And I was like, well, I also don't know what I'm doing, so I don't know what I can do for you with that. I've never done that before. Never tried a like single base of anything. And I was more of a base myself than a flyer, so I don't know what I'm doing. But we can try. So after a shift, I ended up stunting with him literally for like 15 minutes. We did like toss QBs and toss platforms. I tried to pull a lib. It felt impossible. It was so hard, and I felt my body hurt for like 2 weeks after that. I can very visibly remember that. And so I got kind of obsessed with stunting. And like at that point, I also was not tumbling because I was just a coach. All I did was I loved coaching and I worked with my kids and that was it. But stunting was so much fun that I started to get obsessed with it. And we started to stunt like every week before our lessons. We would stunt together for a little bit, like half an hour to an hour, and then we would do our lessons. And then we started holding open gyms in my gym and having other people join. And so it got a little bit bigger and I got to meet more of like the people throughout Michigan. There's a couple of people from UK, University of Kentucky, that came that used to go to UK but were from Michigan and they were back there and then they were just doing private lessons and stuff. They were like retired but not done with doing stuff. They just didn't do any active cheer other than private. So I got to work with a lot of them. Like you maybe have met Connor and Jovan. So I worked with them. I worked with Kevin. I met BK and all kinds of people. Um, and that was like how my journey started. And then I went to, which you just went to Ohio Stunt Fest this past summer. That was my first like bigger thing. Now, I was only like 4.5 months into stunting at the point that I went to Ohio Stunt Fest, but that was the first like bigger thing that I did stunt wise, cheer wise, that introduced me to a whole range of people. I met Benji there. And Benji then would have me come out like once a week just to fun, like play around stunt. We didn't do anything like private lessons or anything like that. We just stunted for fun because we both liked it and he wanted to just like work with me and saw potential in me. And I didn't know anything about Moorhead at that point um, until meeting him because he went to Moorhead and he also went to Wilmington. I think there might have been one other place, but I don't know. I can't remember to be honest. But he introduced me to a lot in the cheer world, and that's what made me want to come to Moorhead. And I didn't think I would ever make it because at that point my tumbling was barely anything. Um, and I wasn't like that seasoned in cheer, and I had been out of it. I was out of cheer for like 8 years before I ended up going back into anything. So
Wow.
yeah. So now I'm at Moorhead because in my mind it was like I wanted to do athletic training. I've wanted to be like a sports medicine, like in the sports medicine industry since I was younger, but I never really went into it. I just did like coaching and stuff and then I was a florist. Um and so I was like if I'm going to go to college, I might as well cheer. And if I'm going to cheer, I might as well try out for Moorhead. And then I'll decide if I'm going to actually do it if I make it into the school. So I made it into the school. I didn't really think I would make it into the school because I did not have a good GPA in high school because I didn't really try. And then I was like, well, now that I made it into the school, I have to at least try out, but I don't think I'm going to make it. So if I make it, then I'll actually go. And then I made it and was like, oh, I
Hey.
don't know if I was actually committed to that, but I committed to it. And my husband, he was fully on board and was like, I'll move tomorrow if you want to. Like, let's go, let's do this thing. He's been extremely supportive through it all. And he's also always wanted to like leave Michigan and travel a little bit, find another place to live. So he was ready to go for it. And we did, and that's where I'm at now, where I'm in my third year at Moorhead and I've loved it here so much. There is such a huge like cheer culture that I've gotten to know. And I think being a part of such a legacy team is just a whole different world. Like, I feel like I've actually had a couple conversations with people recently that we feel desensitized to like the level that we're at because we're around it on a daily constant basis. And like if you come in not knowing how to do like at least all of your basic elites, it's kind of like we're not used to that. We're used to everyone being on that level. And so when we're out of our area, then it hits harder how like high caliber this team is and how much like Moorhead is idolized in the cheer world, like in the college cheer world. And it's a really cool experience to be in and to be a part of. And I've gotten to compete on small co-ed, I've gotten to compete on large co-ed. I'm hoping to compete again on large co-ed, injury aside as we go. But that's kind of like how my journey started.
Awesome. I love that. I love the journey back and forth too.
Yeah.
It's becoming like way more common. The more people I talk to, the more I realize, because I did the same thing where I took like 7 years off
Yeah.
and went back. And I thought that I was weird for that, but apparently a lot of people are doing it. So I love it.
Yeah.
Bring back the old people. Let's go.
I do think that the reason that, because there's a lot of people that are like, how are you this old and like still going?
Yeah.
Because for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm about to be 30. I'll be 30 in October. But like, so many people are like, how are you still doing it now? Like, my body could never handle it. And I'm like, well, probably because I did take that like 8 year gap where my body got to rest. And same for you. Like, I probably wouldn't have been able to continue if I stayed with it throughout all that time. Then I would have to retire. So that I think actually was helpful. And I think that that's why there's so many people that still do it into an older age, is because they let themselves like take breaks and like take steps back for a little while and then they jump back into it.
Yeah. Or like got
But if
into
you
it
continue,
late,
like
like a
I
lot of the
know,
guys.
yeah, like
Yeah.
any Olympic sports too, that's why so many of them are younger, is because most of them started at a very young age and never stopped. So then they have to retire earlier because their body can't handle it because they never gave themselves a break. So I think that giving yourself that is important, and that's why we're like still here.
I love it. So we just got done with
Uh,
Corey's story, so we can roll right into yours if you're ready.
oh, where do we begin? So just a little bit about me. Hi, Corey, by the way. My name's Isaiah. You can call me Zay.
Nice to meet you.
I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I've cheered since I was probably about 9 years old. I've cheered for Cheer Force, California All Stars, Cheer Athletics, the list goes on. Colleges I've cheered for were Navarro and Weber State. Um, I have been fortunate enough to be successful to become a two-time world champion and I can't even count how many nationals I won in a row. I think it was like 6 or 7 of them.
8.
But, that's just a little bit about me, my cheer history, and where I'm from.
Cute. How did you get into cheer?
My mom. My mom was a big, big inspiration for me to get into cheer. And plus, it was free. Back in the day, boys cheered for free.
What?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like one of those things, like just to get more boys into the sport. They just, you didn't have to do that.
Okay, I love that. So what made you want to stick with it? What did you like about it?
Well, I also played football as well, all the way up through high school, all the way up through my senior year. And the thing is, I just did not like the running. I hated running, especially when like you're like in trouble and you have to run. Like I don't mind running, but I don't like being in trouble when I'm running.
Okay.
But also, my dad told me go where they pay you more, and so cheer was a full ride scholarship through and through.
Okay. Love that.
Yeah.
And then it's funny to hear you say that you don't like running from a tumbler. So what do you like about
Yeah.
tumbling versus running?
Well, if you see me tumble, you won't see me run into it. You'll see me power hurdle or like maybe 1 or 2 step, but
Okay.
unless obviously if I'm going for like a double back or something like that,
Awesome. I love that. All right, cool. So next we'll get into the injury portion. So Corey, can you tell us a little story about your injury?
So I'm just gonna do, because I've had the two injuries, the two like main injuries in the last year. So the one last year in November was when I fractured my neck. But that's not really related to what I'm dealing with now. That one was like a one-time thing that happened at a game. I blacked out while doing a back handspring, landed on my head, fractured my neck. It healed in about 2 months. I was really lucky for that. It didn't come close to my spinal cord or anything. I never even had a concussion from that one. But then fast forward to February of this year, 2025, I had competed nationals. I was cleared from my fractured neck the day that we started 2-a-days to do nationals for UCA. And I competed with large co-ed, and I came back, and we do like team workouts. I'm sure many programs do that. So this is like the second week that we were back from nationals doing our team workouts. I was at the end of a workout. Again, like I don't pass out. I've never had that issue in my life. We kind of still don't really know what's going on with that because it hasn't happened again since. But I at the very end of our workout, I was doing like a plank hold and talking to someone about getting coffee. And that was the last thing that I remember. Apparently, at some point, I stood up. I don't remember standing up, but I stood up after my plank hold fell. I just blacked out completely, and I hit my head on one of the exercise bikes there, and it like cracked my head open. So I have a scar probably from here to about here. I had was it 7 or 8 staples? 7 staples? I had 7 staples in my head. And when I hit my head, I had an immediate seizure. My trainer at the time, I don't think that I mean, he was CPR certified, but I don't think he had ever expected to use it. And he immediately did CPR, but I was not out like that. I was just blacked out and had a seizure. So, anytime that they do CPR on you, they obviously have to take you in and like check you over. But I did not need CPR. I appreciate his effort. My trainer, my actual athletic trainer, came in next and he did a sternum rub on me to like wake me up because he was like, she doesn't need that. She needs to just be like shocked awake. So I was really in and out. Obviously, they called 911. And I remember like waking up, being really confused. Someone asked like my password on my phone because they were trying to call my husband. And then I have friends that like lived in my area that grabbed all my stuff. They woke my husband up so that he could go to the hospital with me. And I was met with EMTs who came in. They gave me morphine. They talked over things with me. And again, I was still very like in and out. They kept trying to make sure I didn't look over to see there was like a lot of blood. Heads bleed a lot, so there was a lot of blood. And they brought me to a helicopter, and then I was flight lifted to a trauma center. And I just remember like being confused the entire time and not knowing what was going on. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have any of my belongings or anything. I had no idea who I was with. I didn't know what happened. And I got there. They assessed me. They did CAT scan, MRI, and x-rays to check and see if anything was broken. I had no fractures or anything. And then they just stapled my head. Obviously, I was on concussion protocol for a while. And then I got like, I had the staples in for like a week, took those out. Concussion went well. I didn't have any like brain bleeding or anything like that, no blood clots. So they felt comfortable with letting me go back as long as I followed the concussion protocol. And it was like, I think it was like a month later that I was fully back into everything. And I worked a clinic back home at Moorhead. And then I also worked a clinic like on the side in Louisiana and did all of that fine. And then on the way back from that Louisiana clinic is the first random seizure I had, where I had a full-on grand mal seizure in the back of the car. And I was about to take a nap, so I thought that I took a nap. And I woke up to being on the side of the road with an ambulance, and they were like, "You had a seizure." And I was like, "No, I didn't. I took a nap." And they were like, "No, I was here for it. You definitely had a seizure." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. That's never happened before." So I refused going in the ambulance because I wasn't at home. I didn't want to stay there longer. And they said that they felt comfortable with leaving because my vitals looked normal. And they were like, "Well, you're coming out of it. You're fine." So I went back home. And then I went to Daytona. I watched everyone compete. I stunted at Stunt Fest. I did perfectly fine. I drove there and back myself, and everything seemed pretty normal. And then back at home, I was driving to go to the store, and I had a grand mal seizure again while I was driving. So I crashed my car. I didn't hurt anybody else in the process. And then that's when they were like, "You can't drive anymore. no more cheer, no more stunting, no more physical activity. And like, you can't take showers alone. And we're starting you on medication. And so now it's been a journey of figuring out medication. And I had to see a neurologist. She told me that I have epilepsy now. It's like trauma-induced epilepsy. There was a brain trauma that resulted in my seizures, and they said that there's a very small likelihood that I could fully heal from the trauma and then I won't have seizures anymore. But for the most part, I'm just going to be epileptic for the rest of my life. But it's manageable with medication. And that's why they're confident that I will be able to go back into cheer and sports and everything in the future. They just need me to be fully stable from seizures. I have to go 90 days seizure free before I'm allowed to drive or anything. It's different in different states. Some states require 6 months, some up to a year, some are 90 days. So in my state in Kentucky, it's 90 days, and that will be in October for me.
Wow.
Wow, what a story.
I'm sorry, I talk like so much. So I say a lot longer than it has to be.
No, I love it. The detail is super helpful because I had known about your neck injury, but I didn't realize that at this point that you had epilepsy. So yeah, that's super helpful to know. Zay, tell us a little bit. I know that you went through a few different injuries, so tell us a little bit about those, maybe your last couple.
Yeah, so I'll just get started with my last injury. It was a head injury. Unfortunately, when I was on SMOED, me and a teammate of mine, Kevin, we were trying to figure out our tumbling formation, and we had to obviously do it full out because it was World's Month, and I was coming from the back of the floor to the front. He was coming from the side to the side, and we met right in the middle. And it happened just like my fingers went. We hit. I went one way, he went the other. I still have the mark on my head from it. Thankfully, I had nice poofy hair, so I absorbed most of the cushion. But unfortunately for Kevin, he had a seizure and had a big gash on his head, which kind of just set him out for a few months. I'm not too sure if he has epilepsy or anything, but it did set him out, which it kind of really set me back too, because at that point, my tumbling was still kind of inconsistent, and we were working on new formation and World's Month, the stress of it. Nobody wants to have to go run for not throwing their stuff. So it was like either throw it or, go run. And so we decided to throw it. And unfortunately, that ended up with me and him both in the hospital that night until he was there longer than I was, but I know I was there for about 3 or 4 hours. And at this point, it was about 2 a.m. because we was practicing pretty late that night. And moving on from that, like I still have fear when it comes to tumbling, kind of tumbling next to people now. I never had that fear before, but now I do. Like I'm very cautious on like if I'm tumbling somewhere, like nobody needs to be around, and that was a big thing that I had to overcome. And I really had to look into myself and like instill more confidence in myself. But, through great coaching, Eddie, he did his job to make sure we were all safe and comforted. We did not do that tumbling formation, by the way, at Worlds. And so that was really like relieving. But I feel my biggest injury that I've had that really shaped me to become more of a leader was last year on Weber when I tore what was it? Yeah, I tore my meniscus, completely torn, whole thing. And it was just kind of tough because we want to be out there and we want to be pushing ourselves, but I pushed myself just a little too hard to where I unfortunately had that injury. And it was out of nowhere, but through the times we were practicing hard, like I forgot to give myself a break. Rest is very important for your body to reheal itself and recover. But when the standards are, you need to do this, 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 and this, you don't want to drop below that standard. And so with that, me getting hurt wasn't a loss for the team or anybody. It was more of a loss for myself because there was people there to, one, fill the positions. Like TJ, amazing athlete. Like, I'm so glad that he was there to be the one to be like, I got this. And fortunately enough, it was his first year actually being on mat. And it was his first time actually winning and getting grand, And for me, I had to, not be one bitter or things like that because I got hurt. And for about 2 or 3 weeks, I was in that mood like, oh, this fucking sucks. I really wish, that didn't happen. Sitting over there on the bike, looking at them like run their full outs, like really put me in a space where I was not being effective. And that effectivity is very for me, I am a very outgoing, very in your face, very just like happy go lucky person. And then when my energy is not like that, it affects people around me. And I seen the effect that it was having on the team. So I decided that I wasn't going to let that hold me down for my last year. My senior year, I wasn't going to decide to let that hold me down. So I actually picked myself up and started walking around the like track with the team. I started going in both the team circles, because there's small and large, and I was currently on large, but I said, I'm going to be a part of the whole team and not just two individual teams. And me doing that allowed both of our teams to come together in the way to where like we weren't just small and large. We were at that point, and a lot of teams have that struggle of coming together. And not to say that I was the reason why the team came together, but at the end of the year, they let me know that me being there in support when I was down and out kept them going, kept them pushing, and kept them wanting to push past their limits because they know I would. And so those were like my two latest injuries, like that head injury and like that knee injury was really like, oh, two things that I did not need, but needed for me to become a better leader in the future. Because obviously we can't cheer and tumble forever, and knowing that, like knowing when to take a step back and see the bigger picture in order to create the perfect masterpiece is what I had the chance to do, which was great for me because I really enjoyed it. And on top of that, I was able to be mascot.
Hey, that was beautiful. We're done. No, I'm just kidding. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So can we dive a little bit more into like how it feels? And Corey, I'll go back to you, how it feels being injured, being on the sideline, because I think that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with, right?
Yeah. So like I feel like you kind of touched on that with being on the side and feeling like, well, this sucks, and like I don't like trying not to be bitter about it when someone else takes your spot. And I didn't have that same case because like we haven't had another competition season yet since I've been injured, but I do feel that like even right now because I'm still technically an athlete, like I'm still working out with the team, I run with the team, I go to practices and everything. I go to small and large practices because I don't know where I'm going to be at when I can come back. But like over the summer when we had our work weeks, 2-a-days work weeks, um, at first I was supposed to come back in June and I had a seizure 10 days before. So they set me back another 90 days. And so that week when I was given the news during 2-a-days that I had to wait longer. And I remember just like I was showing up to practice, but I was not a part of it. And I felt like the worst teammate because I was dealing with so much of my own emotion. I was crying. I had to like walk out of practice. I wouldn't cry like in the middle of practice, but I would like walk out and just go have my moment and come back because I was devastated that I couldn't be a part of it because I was so ready to just get back into things. So I let myself have that for that week. I continued with our challenges over the summer, and then I told myself like I gave myself my time to be upset, and I'm allowed to have that, but I'm still a part of this team, and if I want to show that I want to be on it and that I want to be supportive and I want to do my best here, then I have to figure it out. I got to get it together. So during our next work week, I kind of tried to change how I felt, and I was like, I'm going to participate with what I can because it's not a lot, but I can do some things, and I'm going to be that person on the side that's there for people to go to, that's supportive, that's giving advice, corrections, whatever someone needs, that if they are like, hey, can you watch this for a second? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to be that person that goes over there. Or if I see someone else that needs a pick me up or something, I'm going to pay attention to my teammates because they're in it and they can't see the outside perspective. And I get that opportunity to see that outside perspective. So it was hard, but like changing my mindset on what my part is because I'm injured. There's nothing I can do about that. All I have to do is wait. So I'm going to sit and do what I can and be that supportive person. And I've been trying to just like open myself to other things and kind of going back to like, I'm not a coach by any means right now, but going back to when I was coaching gymnastics, like I can be a little bit more in that like position right now where I'm just on the outside watching and I'm there to help in any way that I can. And I actually really like being a part of that. And it makes me want to go back to coaching in the future someday, because I do love it. But I will say that, like, I still, on probably a weekly basis, have like a moment of feeling that, like, devastation almost, where I'm like, I'm jealous that other people get to work on things and jealous that people get to get better and get that opportunity. And it's like, there's parts of me that are like, when I hear people complain about this is too hard, this is too much, I shouldn't have to do this, I don't like this partner, all of that stuff, like, I'm just like, well, at least you get to be in it because I don't. At least you get to practice. At least you get to show up. So it like hurts me, but I don't project that on them because I also know what it's like on their side and maybe feeling those things. And I wouldn't have had this perspective without being in this position. So I'm trying to be grateful for what I do have and trying to also help other people change their perspective into like, I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for these people here and the things I get to do and the things my body are capable of, while also embracing the suck. Like, some of it does suck. Some of it is really hard. It's not all easy, but that's how, like, the only way to get better in this sport is to push yourself not too far. Like, that's what caused your injury, but pushing yourself and trying to like get through those things.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Zay, can you talk to us a little bit more about with like being on the sidelines and maybe hoping that you were going to get back in, or like deciding whether or not you like how to push yourself to be able to get back into the routine? Did you experience some of that, and what did that feel like for you?
Yeah, I have another example of another injury just a year, literally prior to my what is it, my junior year. I broke my ankle, like full broken ankle. And man, I never thought that I was going to be back in. I mean, I woke up from surgery, looked down at my foot, and was just like, oh no, this ain't happening. This ain't happening. But they assured me if I just, stayed positive and just continue to be like spiritually like sound, my injury will start to heal itself even faster. Because your mind is very important. Positive self-talk for me is like my biggest thing. If I don't positively self-talk myself, then I will fail. Or I won't feel healthy, or I just won't feel positive throughout the day. But when I did break my ankle, just sitting there on the scooters, rolling around the mat, and then just, everybody seeing you like, what happened? What's going on? Are you going to be back? And the uncertainty is, I don't know if I'm going to be back. I've never fully broken my ankle before. I don't know. And so that little bit of uncertainty was really, really just like scary. But thankfully, I was surrounded by good people and good doctors and people who wanted me to get better. So it kind of made my process kind of easy, but I could not rush myself because I was so eager to get back when I threw I think I tumbled for like a week after my ankle was fine. And then like we had this performance for all these high schools out here called the Wildcat Invitational. And, we were just showing off our tumbling. I was like, oh, let me just go throw something real quick, thinking that I was me. And ended up throwing I think it was like a punch round off a Raven round off kick full and landed real short on my kick full. So short to where it looked like I was about to bounce back, but you don't bounce back on hard floor, especially with no broke ankle. And that I landed, and like two or three of my homies was just like, I saw that. And I saw that. You was happy in front of the crowd, but as soon as you took those 4 or 5 steps, you stopped walking and you looked down. I was like, oh, I know. I felt it. He was like, yeah, boy, sit your ass down before you hurt yourself, or you won't be able to be in. And so I really had to, one, curb my ego. I think that's what it was. I really had to just curb that and be like, hey, you're not ready yet. Take a step back so you can do what you need to do when you need to do it. And all the girls on my team, they're the best because they were like, Zay, we all know you can tumble. You don't need to show off for nobody. We need you for national. And I was like, Kaylee, you right. I know, you right. You right. Anu, you right. I got you. And so I only threw tumbling when I had to at that point. But I only got back 1 month before Daytona. So thankfully enough, I broke it early enough. I think it was in November, I broke my ankle and was able to rehab it for that 2 or 3 months and then hop right back in before.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that rehab process? Because I think a lot of people struggle with trying to figure out how hard to push that as well, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, rehab is a self-motivated thing. No one will pick you up to take you to rehab. You have to pick yourself up and you have to want to be better. There was times where I was just like, I don't want to do this, man. I don't feel like getting up. But I had to take a step back and realize the bigger picture. It wasn't about me or my ankle getting better. It's about me doing what I need to do for the team, because at that point, the junior year, I can't think too far back into it. I'm pretty sure they had someone in the spot or something like that. Something happened to somebody who was in my spot. And like, it was just like, whoop, all right, Zay, get back in. I was like, oh, okay, that fast? Sweet. But the rehab process is basically like I said, it's more on you to want to do it. But if you don't have the resources, like I did not have the resources or the money and things like that. But like that's where my school's resources came in. But I had to ask about those things. It just didn't come to me. I had to be like, hey, Bree, which Bree's our trainer. I was like, hey, I don't have this insurance. I don't have that. And I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to begin. She's like, okay, I'm glad you said something. Let's sit down and let's get this done. And by that time we got it done, I was able to, secure multiple rehab sessions that were covered through the school and the university. So thank you, Weber State. But again, it's just all on you and how you go about it. Like you can go into rehab and you're like, man, I can't move no more. This sucks. Or you can sit right there and do 25 calf raises and know that it's not enough and know that you want more. But the fact that you're doing it is getting you 1% better each day. And that's what I tell everybody. Like if you're going through something or if you have like an injury or a mental block, you just have to do 1% better each day in order to get back to your strengths. You don't have to go all 100 on that day because it'll fluctuate. But if you stay consistent with your work and your rehab or whatever it is, then you will ultimately be healthier in the long run. That's how I think about it.
I love that. Awesome. And Corey, you're experiencing a little bit of that even from the doctor side, right? Because they're making you take some time off. So can you talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about like maybe the importance, like we've talked about the importance of rest and then the importance of also just taking your time to get back to make sure that you're good?
Yeah. So obviously with my situation, I don't have rehab because I can't really rehab my brain out of seizures. But I do have full communication. I think like now every university is different, and also so is like professional sports and how everyone has the opportunity to go through things. Obviously, not everyone is in sports through a school, so having to do that stuff on your own would probably be a lot harder. I'm really lucky that we do have a team. We have doctors with that are in communication with our athletic trainers. Our athletic trainers do our PT for us, and we have them on site at all times. Pretty much, they're on call at all times. Like one of the trainers that has been to all of my appointments with me lives literally down the street from me, like in my neighborhood. Like we're very close knit, and I'm thankful that we have such a good team of people. But I do have like, I've had them be very hard on me with making sure that because I'm bad about wanting to push harder and go into things earlier than I need to. Like I said, like I followed all of my protocols and everything, but we maybe did push it a little bit too fast and a little bit too hard in the beginning, which maybe is I mean, the brain trauma is why I have the seizures, but is part of why there was such a delayed process of how things happened and not taking care of my body the way I need to. I've noticed with my personal situation, if I'm not hydrated enough, I will be at risk for having a seizure. And that's something I've never had to focus on as much. Obviously, hydration is one of the most important things, but unless you feel that effect, you don't realize how important it is. And I do feel that effect now. Like if I don't have enough electrolytes and enough water for the day, I can feel a seizure coming. And it is wild. But that's where like I'm learning how to pace myself with everything. I had like a mental breakdown a week or two ago with I'm allowed to lift weights right now and I'm allowed to lift at my pace. But I'm also allowed to lift heavy. And so I'm going into the weight room and lifting, and we had to do maxing out. And I also run miles. And I lifted like 20 pounds lighter than I did last year for my max outs. And then I ran a mile after, and my mile time is like a minute over what it was last year. And I had this full like mental breakdown on the track because I was like, I suck. I'm never gonna get back to where I was. Like, what's the point of even
That
trying?
imposter syndrome.
Like, huh? Oh
That's
yeah, yeah,
imposter.
yes, it is. I'm like, I was like, it almost makes me feel like I was never that good, and makes me feel like I'm never gonna be capable of getting back to that position. And I'm, I, my friend had to like sit there with me and be like, dude, you're fine. You are coming back from a severe injury. Your body needs time to work into that. You didn't come in here running those miles like you did last year. You worked up to that throughout 2 years of doing it. So you're not supposed to expect yourself to get immediately back to what you were before. And you're not going to lift as heavy as you did because you took like almost a year off of lifting. Like it's going to be time before you get back to that position. You're already doing more than anyone expected you to be able to do at this point. So take that as a win, like take those little wins and then let that keep driving you and look at what you have right now and realize you're coming back from an injury. You're going to have some setbacks, but you're going to get back to that point only if you keep trying. But if you break down like this and you give up right here, then you're never getting back to that. And you might as well leave. Like that's where we're at with that. And that is where like a lot of it, like what you're saying with the rehab, is it's so dependent on what you want for yourself. And I also want to be what my team needs right now, which we have a lot of talent on my team. We have a lot of people on my team. And I'm not necessarily like a make or break person in a routine, but I want to get to the point that I can be that person they need for the routine. So I get my personal ability to compete, but do it with what they need from me. And the only way I can do that is putting in that work to do it and doing it at the pace that I need to, not pushing too fast. If that means I don't compete this year, that means I don't compete because that's like I also have to live with this body for the rest of my life and I don't get another chance. So I have to do what's best for my body, what's best for how I want to pursue the sport, and what's best for my team altogether. And that all comes from my own motivation. And I'm allowed to have those breakdowns. Sometimes you have to feel your feelings, otherwise they build and then it can break you. But I can't let that be like the thing that takes me out.
Thank you. I love that. So let's transition a little bit into coming back versus not coming back. So Zay, since you've had a couple injuries where you had to take some time off and come back, what like advice or what was your process in deciding if you were ready to come back?
Honestly, just my own ambition. I just wanted to be out there. I just wanted to do it all, no matter what. Even when I had my boot on, and this is just another story. My first year, I had no bulging fracture on my right ankle, but I broke my left ankle. So my first year, I had a bulging fracture on my right ankle, and I was out there in my boot, swinging a pyramid, throwing a pyramid up to the top, teaching the other side how to do it. Like I just want to be out there, just be as helpful as possible. Because at the end of the day, like I don't know, just I didn't let my injuries. I didn't want my injuries to stop me from just being me and helping, no matter where it was. Um, and it's just hard to sit out. I hate sitting out. I hate it. It's the worst. Um, yeah, that was it. Like I always kind of tried to fight to bring myself back in. There was no stopping. Like all gas, no brakes, no matter what. Even like just sitting there, like I was always either on a bike or doing push-ups or on the weight rack or doing, something to stay active and physical to show my team that I was still checked in. My last year was the only time I checked out, and I mentioned that earlier, like those 2, 3 weeks where I was just like, this is my senior year, this sucks. I'm not gonna be able to be in it. And I knew that. Like I knew I was gonna be able to tumble because torn meniscus and all that other stuff and to the full hard floor. Shit. No, but I found ways to be effective. Definitely found those ways.
So in the process of coming back, did you allow like your coach or did you guys just communicate to decide like when it was time to start getting you back to tumbling or whatever the case is, putting you back into the routine, or do you just kind of feel it out? How did you decide when it was
Yeah,
time?
Summer was very open to letting us decide on what we were going to do. So if I felt that day, I was like, "Hey, Sam, I'm about to throw a tub." He was like, "Okay, if you feel like you can, go ahead." I'm like, "Okay." Through that first tuck, I was just like, "Okay, I think I'm good." She was like, "Yeah, but no standing pulls yet, no standing pulls." And then my heart had it ass do a standing pull anyway, just to be like, "I can do it." But I did take a step back from that. You know, it was more or less proven that I could still do it, and I think that is what got me to continue to go. And a lot of people don't get that opportunity to realize that they still can do it. So I feel that that does make it harder for a lot of people when they're trying to recover. Um, but again, thankfully, I was just surrounded by great people, like amazing people who didn't just care about cheer. Like, and that's the thing, Weaver isn't all about cheer. Well, I don't know now, because now they're like way far ahead from where I was. But when I was there, it wasn't all about cheer. It was just more about being a good person, leading the right example, and being there for those who need it the most. You know, the ones off the mat and the ones on the mat, because we all need support. Everybody has something that they're going through at the end of the day. You know, and I know y'all have heard this before. If there are any issues, leave them outside the door, because on the mat is on the mat. You don't bring outside stuff on the mat. And a lot of people would want to, but like that's where we would go and pull them out. Like I would bring my work situations, I would pile it on top of my injury. You know, I would just try to make a case for myself. And until I realized to just drop that case and just to like really focus on helping other people, it really just helped me. But
And then Corey, you're still fighting to get back in. So let's talk a
Mhm.
little bit about like when is it time to decide to move on? Like you said, this is your one body and you have to live in it. When's the time to move on, or when do you think that you should continue to fight?
So since I've come here, even I've said I'll go as long as my body allows me to. And right now, I'm in that phase of like, is my body gonna allow me to or not? I guess we'll find out. But right now, my deadline, like the date that I'm supposed to be able to come back, is October 22. That is set by my doctor, my neurologist, and then my trainers. And like I said before, like we're all kind of like all in communication together. My coaches are in communication with trainers. Trainers go to my appointments with me, with the doctor. So everybody all knows what's going on. Complete open communication. And I actually like as of right now, I'm not allowed to tumble, not allowed to stunt, not even allowed to do like a toss drill or anything. I'm not cheering games because of the potential that like it's hot out still. So the potential that I overheat and there's an issue there. So I'm kind of just like on the sidelines waiting. Um, but I did ask if I can start, like, if there's anything I can start to do that can push me in that direction of like testing the waters without going too far. And I was like, if there's nothing, I will stick with what I'm doing already. But if there's anything, I don't want to just wait. I don't want to wait until that date and then like jump into it because I'm gonna have to take things slow. Otherwise, we're back to the same problem. So I was like, is there anything little that I can start working on now so that it's not such a dramatic jump into things, or so that I don't have to go super, super slow and then miss out on the ability to do nationals. Like, if I'm able to, I would really love to. So I'm trying not to push it too hard, but we talked about doing like little things like handstands, cartwheels, forward rolls, because I'm on a seizure medication. That means that it alters my brain. Um, that means that I could have a difference in how my body even handles being upside down. So doing those little things will tell me like, where is my equilibrium? Does it feel normal or is it off? Am I going to have to like regain like how I do everything? So right now, what it looks like for me is just testing the waters, seeing where we can go, seeing how I feel, taking it slow. And I've mourned a little bit of my life as a cheerleader. I don't want the last stunt session I had to be the last one I ever had. And I know that there's people that happen to them where they didn't get a choice. And right now I feel like I kind of have a bit of a choice. So I'm lucky for that, and I don't want to ruin that opportunity. So I'm taking it slow, but I do want to come back. I want to at least try for another season. I still have this year and next year to do of school, so I figure no matter what, I'm going to be here for another year after this one. And if that means I get to cheer next year, that would be amazing. That's what I would like to do. If I can't, then it is what it is. And I think that if I'm even able to do things on the side, like just show up to Stunt Fest and mess around for fun and stuff, I would like to be able to do that over pushing myself to compete and then still not like then coming out of it without being able to do anything. I want to still be capable in my life, and I do want to be an athletic trainer. So I do need my body to do that. I have to be mentally and physically present to be that position, and I want to be able to do that for other people that are in my position, and helping athletes rehabilitate, go through these mental struggles, go through the physical struggles, like learning how to reuse your body, learning how to bring yourself back from injuries and stuff, or learning when it is time to call it. So I want to offer that to people. And right now I'm going through my own version of that.
And with yours also being like head and spine related, right? Like obviously that can be pretty serious. So in what like imaginary world, hopefully it doesn't happen, but what would make you call it at this point? What would make you decide that it's not worth it?
If I end up, if I were to not be able to control my seizures at all, that would definitely be a call it for me because at that point I'm not allowed to drive. It's hard to work. Um, I'm not able to even focus on studies or anything. I'm there's a lot that gets taken away from me if that were to happen. Being that I'm able to control my seizures to a point right now is a really good thing, but I am at a very high dose already of seizure medication. So if for any reason I'm not able to control it, I think I would have to call it because I don't want to risk it getting worse and not being controlled and not being like I have an aunt that got in a car accident when she was younger and has the same type of seizures. It's temporal lobe seizures where it's caused by brain trauma. And she has epilepsy and to this day still does. She got in the car accident when she was a teenager. Now she's like 50s year old. So I don't want to be out of like I don't want my brain to be out of control like that where she has been able to work and everything but she even now still works on changing her dose, changing her medication, seeing what works, still has seizures like probably once a month and I don't want that and I can't entirely control that but if there's anything I can do to control it I will. Um or I would say if I get any risk of another brain trauma, then I would probably call it because I don't want like what's it called? Like the second impact syndrome where it's like a double concussion, a concussion on top of a concussion, which is potentially fatal or it can cause someone to be brain dead and then I'm fully dependent on everybody else around me. I'm a very independent person myself, so I don't see myself being like that. And if I were ever put in that position, it would be devastating to me. So I think if I were ever at risk of that, I would probably call it. As much as I could call it now because I am at risk if I stunt or do pyramids or baskets or anything. But we've decided I'm going to be wearing a concussion helmet until nationals. So I'm at least, and we're taking things slow, like I said. So right now where I'm at, I'm in a pretty controlled environment. So I feel confident that I'd be okay. But, things happen and I just have to be careful about it.
And I know so many people are going to relate to this. What do you think about cheer makes it worth the risk?
There's okay, I feel like there's a lot that you could explain. There's everyone that's in cheer can explain it and can understand it from a personal level. But for those that maybe don't understand cheer, thinking about even if you're not in football, think about the team that you love the most, that you watch the most. The feeling of winning a game or winning something very important, that feeling that you get in that community that all feels it together, that is what cheer feels like on a very constant basis. Where like even the little wins in the practice room when someone gets a new skill, everybody feels that excitement for each other, that adrenaline and that excitement and that like little light bulb of I worked hard for this and it's paying off and it's like showing in real time physically outwardly to everybody. It's showing like that feeling is uncomparable to
Literally,
anything.
I got
Yeah.
chills. This damn, I just got chills. I know what you mean.
Yes, like that is how I don't know how to explain it otherwise. And for someone that hasn't done that or doesn't feel that passion with something, like I could never explain it. It's just something that obviously what keeps you going in anything you do is a passion. Cheer is a passion for me. Gymnastics was a passion for me. Coaching was a passion for me. Being in my field of like working towards my career is a passion for me. And those little wins is what makes it worth it and is what makes it worth the risk. Just getting to that point, like I want so badly. I've lost twice with Moorhead, and I want more than anything to see this team win, whether I'm on the mat or not. I want it for my school. I want it for my team. I want it for my legacy. I love this place so much and love all of these people so much that like I'm in it for the long run because I want it so badly. It's unexplainable.
Mm-mm.
That was beautiful. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was.
Zay, what about you? What makes cheer worth it? Like you kept coming back, right? You're officially retired, question mark? You're not cheering this year at least?
Oh yeah, I my boat has done sailed. Moed was my victory lap. Even
Beautiful.
though we got second, don't care because I started with Orby and Eddie back in 2008. So I just wanted a full circle moment, and not to just put it out there like I've won it. I've won it. And my first time winning with Cheer Athletics Wildcats, I was on the team with Victoria Swain, TJ O'Connor, Chris O'Connor, all of these OGs, Reagan, Pat, Sherbs, like all of these people instilled it in me. Even the ones who didn't win and the ones who did win, they were just like, hey, we won this. We just want to do it for y'all. Like, because we know that feeling. We want you to have that feeling. And so, like, towards the end of my leisure, like, I wanted people to have that the most. And so my last year on SMOAD, I call that my victory lap year because one, I've done it already. And two, I really had to come back and fight through a lot of injuries, moving, this, that, and the other. Um, Teammate drama. Oh my God, me and Dylan, we love each other to death, but like we just so many times, but he also has that because he was on Wildcats with me 2016. So he knew what it took and he knew where I was coming from and he knew that we were just doing it for everybody else. Although we got second, I'm not gonna say why, but it was definitely my time and I knew it was my time. And I keep getting people keep asking like, hey, are you gonna join Pro Cheer? Like I see you tumbling on your Snapchat and stuff. I'm like, I'm not tumbling on my Snapchat. I'm bouncing around. There's a difference. I'm bouncing around and I'm just enjoying just being skillful. I enjoy showing the kids something that they've never seen before. That's where I'm at with it. So, retired from cheer? Yes, for sure. Not going back. Can't do it. Can't do it. Because I don't want to. But teaching it and giving what I felt to other people is where I'm at now. Like, because the way I was raised and growing up, it was kind of really hard. There was those wins, there was those losses, but there was more losses than wins. And now that like I went to high school and I lost with Navarro twice, back to back years, and the only thing I want for them is to win now. But after going through all of that and seeing like the importance of just like the journey is what made me know that my journey in cheerleading is moving forward to another journey of building athletes and bringing them up and giving them something they've never done before and inspiring the generations. You know, that's where my victory is now in that. So my biggest and the smallest wins come from the best smallest wins for me is that kid who just learns a back walkover. Like that is way better than winning worlds. Like kids who can land standing fulls at the age of 10, they're like so shocked and surprised. I'm like, yeah, like that feeling is like, that's what keeps me in it. Because you can have that feeling every single day, depending on the kid or depending on how you do it. You know, when you're with a team, those wins come at big competitions, besides all the little ones that we just talked about. You know, I like to say, and I say this a lot, it's you don't want to be the whole picture of you don't want to be the whole picture of the puzzle. You just want to be your piece with your colors that just fit perfectly to make the whole picture work. And that's where I'm starting to teach kids to do. You know, because everybody wants to be the center spotlight, center everything, and just continue to do it. But I'm like, just be yourself because you're already amazing how you are. And if you keep doing that, you're gonna make everybody else amazing around you. You know, and so yes, I'm retired, I'm done, and that's my goal, and that's my vision. That's what I'm doing now, is instilling that into other people.
I love that the most. So if you were to give a piece of advice to somebody, let's say that they are injured and maybe their career is over at this point, right? Maybe they're mourning that loss. What piece of advice would you give them for them to be able to make this transition smoothly and still get the best possible experience out of it?
I, for one, would say, know your why. Why did you decide to do it in the first place? Why do you continue to wake up and want to do it? If your why isn't because you love it or because you want to help somebody, or like, you know, it's something that doesn't revolve around you, then you shouldn't be doing it. You know, say for instance, somebody asked me why, and I'd be like, oh, because they're making me, or because my mom put me in it. That's not a good why. You know, it's not a good why at all. I think the ones who are kind of given these opportunities are the ones who won't take it to the fullest. Like those are the ones who don't have their why. They're just here to have fun, you know, and those are the ones who will drop out. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's okay. It's their life. You know, they will choose what they want to do with it. But knowing why they're doing it, why they're making their decisions is what I would tell them. I would really just relate to them and be like, so what's up? Why are you doing this? They're like, why am I doing what? Just, why are you still here wanting to go through this process if you're so checked out? You know, and that's where you got to start. Just ask the questions that don't want to be asked, those uncomfortable questions. Because I was asked those same questions where I had to really sit down and think, like, am I going to be, you know, am I going to be a quitter or am I going to be a helpful person? You know, and that's how I thought of it. Am I going to quit and do something else that's going to better me in the future? Or am I going to do something that's going to help everybody in the future? You know, but that's just my personality. That's how I work. And if they don't want to do that, then find out what you want to do. You know, there's a lot of other easier sports to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I definitely, just this year alone, I've had to turn a lot of kids away from cheer, unfortunately, but it was due to them. Like, I seen the unhappiness that it brought them. Like, why do this if it's not going to make you happy? Like, full out turns scary, but like, you're scared of it. Why are you scared of it? Like, you know what I mean? Just a little thing like that. It just comes with talking about it. The more they can understand themselves and wanting to do it, then they'll find out what they want to do. But I would start with the why.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Last question, Corey. If you were to give a piece of advice to somebody that's going through an injury right now and they may or may not come back, what would you say?
I really like what you said about the why. I think that's also a lot of what I'm doing right now is knowing my why. A lot of my personal why is like cheer is supposed to be fun. Cheer is like all sports are supposed to be fun. For some people, it's a job, and there's a pressure on it. But you didn't start it because you had intention of becoming this massive star and being everything, and it like your whole life riding on it. You did it because you enjoyed the sport and you had fun doing it. And I think that like for me, sports are like a coping mechanism. It's how I get out of my head. It's how I process thoughts, feelings, and not being able to do that is hard right now. And thankfully, I'm able to work out and be active, and that's part of getting through my emotions and everything. But my why is like I just love it, and I love being here. I love pushing myself. I love seeing what my body is capable of. I would say, just like you said about finding your why, like what your point is in being here and if you still have that passion for it, because I don't think it's worth continuing if you don't have the passion for it, because then it's just pushing yourself for no reason. And instead, it's better for you to try to search out new areas for you to find your passion and for you to find what works for you and what you want to do. Because, like I said earlier, like, this is my only body, this is my only life. I want to do what I want to do with it. And if you're not enjoying it, then you need to find something else. I've always lived by the philosophy, like, even working like at Kroger, I was like, if there's ever a time that I stop enjoying this job, I'm going to find a new job, because why am I here? I have to spend like half my life here in order to afford life. So why am I going to do something I hate doing on a daily basis just so I can afford to live, when
Yeah.
I have the opportunity to find something I like doing and still make money and still be able to live? Like, if you have to spend so much time doing it, do something you enjoy. So while you're going through that injury, assess what you want to do with it. Is it something you really want to pursue? If you want to, then go through that rehab process or go through whatever is recommended by your doctors. Take it easy, give yourself that rest, give yourself that time to think about it. And then if you really want to go for it, then go for it and do the work that comes with it and see where you can go, but do it safely and take those steps. And if it's not something that you want to pursue, then try to end off on a good foot and try to end it with like, I never want to have bitterness towards something. Like, if I were to leave right now, I wouldn't want to leave being bitter that I like ruined my cheer career here. Instead, I would like to leave being like, I had this amazing cheer career here and I left with these incredible friends that are lifelong friends, this passion that I still have, and I will forever be grateful for the opportunities I received here. And I think that that is how people should try to look towards things. Going through an injury is hard, and going through that like mourning process and losing something and losing yourself a little bit and having to reinvent what you want is not easy, but it is important, and it's something you're going to have to do anyways, because cheer is not forever. Sports are not forever. Even when you're in big leagues, like being in football or basketball or any of like the bigger, more known sports, at least in America, like, those are things that eventually have to end because your body can't do it forever. So you're going to go through that process no matter what. Maybe it's sooner than what you wanted, but start thinking about it now in a good light, not in a haunting or devastating light.
So I guess the last question I was going to ask is, where are you going now? So master's program?
Yeah, master's degree. I'm actually doing a dual master's program, and I am getting my MHA and MBA. So it's a lot of work. It's an accelerated course, so I won't have a break. So it just goes all the way straight through until December of next year. So hopefully by that time I'll be all set and done, and on to the next adventure.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to try to complete them both at the same time, but if, obviously my schedule and my mind isn't right for it, then I do have the opportunity and the chance to like break them apart. So I'll be able to like, it's just when you register classes, like I'll go in and I'll just register the classes that I need. Now, if I don't feel like I can take those, then I can just take the next semester. So yeah, Weaver's made it a very easy process for me to really get back into school and stay in school with the knowledge that I have now. Because it's like the first 2 weeks are really, really tough to just get into your system of how to do homework and how the class is going to be structured and things like that. And so I think that was like the hardest part, but I'm enjoying it so far. Um, it just is a lot of reading.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't think I picked up a book in, I don't know how, like I read this whole book for one assignment.
Ooh.
Yeah, one assignment. And it's a great book. Um, Basically talks about your strengths and weaknesses and identifying your strengths and weaknesses. And there's over 30 different attributes that can lead to your strengths or your weakness, things that you have, things that you don't. And I'm literally currently working on this assignment right now. I have to do like a SWOT analysis.
Oh yeah.
Very, and then I have to, respond to people, and then I have to do a PowerPoint talking about this as well as like other things in the chapter. It's just a lot, just for one assignment. I'm like,
What made you decide to go back?
Um, I was in an unfortunate situation that I was like I got in trouble, and so I had to move for my health. And moving back to Utah was the clearest and like smartest choice for me because one, I'm used to this place. I love being here. Just like my second home, you know. Besides living in California, this is the only other place that I lived for more than 5 years, you know. And so I just found it very comforting to come back for me to be grounded again. And with that grounding came school. Because I looked at it and I was like, wait, since I'm back here now, I could probably maybe go back to school because I always wanted to. And I always tease with my friends, like, what if I went back, got my master's, and then went and got my doctorate? But like now it's like it's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Okay, wait, but you're doing 2 masters. Are you thinking about a doctorate too?
Yeah, for sure. Like
Okay.
at this process, let me just do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Let's just get through this first, and then we'll worry about that as that comes. After this, I might take another 2 years off. Who knows?
Yeah.
Before I go back to school. I know it's probably not the smartest choice, but I mean, I'm doing it now, and it's working out.
Sometimes I feel like you need that break a little bit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I for sure needed it because like after Weber, it was just a lot of cheer, and then I went to go become a choreographer, and then I went back to SMOED, and then I like it was like a lot. But I'm just happy to be where I am now. I'm just so blessed to be where I am now. I'm so fortunate. I thank God every day. Like I really do because I could be in a whole different situation doing something completely different besides what I'm doing now. And what I'm doing now has gained a lot of what is it? What are those people called? Doubters and speculators on why I'm doing this and them not thinking that I'm going to be able to finish, but that's just pushing me forward even more. Like one of my best friends, he wanted me, I'm not going to say his name, but he wanted me to get into real estate. And he was really like on top of it, you know, paying for the class for me to do it. And I was just like, bro, it's just not the thing that I think that I'm focused on because it's not my why, you know? And so I had to really figure out what did I want to do. And so like my why is because I want to be smart. I want to be able to use my knowledge and education and leadership skills to one, help people out within whatever field it is. It could be international business, it can be international health, it can be like, you know, anything that relates to helping people. I'm doing the business side just because I want to be well versed in that side, just in case I want to start something for myself. But like I said, Weaver made the opportunity to just have a dual master's degree way easier because it's only going to like cost me roughly 56,000 for both, which is like you would pay 120,000 for a master's at any other university. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I could do both for half the price and half the like credits, like I'm like, it's a no-brainer to me. Like that's the smartest fucking thing I could
do. Awesome. Elsa, thank you. All right. I know you both have to jet, so I will let you go. Zeta, do you want to add anything else?
No, just one, I thank y'all just for having this meeting. It's been really fun and really nice to really go over these things. Sorry, let me just get my camera back on. Yeah, it's just been really nice to go over these things for sure. And Corey, it was so nice to meet you and to hear your story. And I really, really hope that, you know, everything works out so you can cheer and you can do your things.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But
yeah.
that's all.
It was very nice to meet you too.
Yes,
and
for sure.
I liked getting to hear your story. I didn't get to know you before, and it would be really cool. We can meet someday, like in person, not on camera.
Yeah, totally. Michelle, definitely. Thank you for bringing us all together.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You guys were awesome. We got a lot of really good stuff out of here. I really think it's going to help a lot of athletes. So I appreciate both of you so much.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm. We appreciate you too.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.